Rapunzel, let down your hair. Okay, let's see. So hopefully you guys don't mind. I am going live recovering from being ill for like the millionth time because I'm an entrepreneur with chronic illness. And I do want to kind of discuss this today as part of my weekly Q&A, series. I do a Q&A. Typically it's Wednesdays. Typically it starts at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I consider it a give back to both my free and paid students and my community. And it is a great way. Usually what we do is we cover content marketing that helps you to drive traffic to your business so that you can do more business. I do have some students who follow the influencer model, but most of my students are like coaches, course creators, products-based business, digital products-based businesses, sublimation type businesses, kind of the works. So let me see. I do want to pop out my chat. Can I do that? I'm going to pop out my chat. I like that. Hey, Miss Heather Dupay, what's going on? Good morning, #live. Yes, for students who are watching this, or anybody watching this really, I'm always very curious. If you do nothing else, number one, give this video a big thumbs up because it does help me with the algorithm more than you know. This will push it out to more of my subscribers while I'm live, more of my subscribers on the replay. And yes, it can, help to do some digital matchmaking for people who aren't subscribed to me yet, but the YouTube algorithm thinks they should be. So the more thumbs up I get, the more comments and questions down below, even on the replay. That's cool. And a lot of my students know #live, #replay. So this way I can kind of see throughout, who is here live versus on the replay. Heather Dupay is here. So good morning, Miss Heather. Hi. Heather Dupay. We are going to talk about, of course, I'm going to take my students' questions and stuff like that. And of course, I want to celebrate anything that my various students who come on live or replay. I have students, thousands of students across the world. So people are going to be tuning in from different time zones, live and on the replay. You are all welcome. Happy Wednesday if you're watching this live. Please let me know in the comments section down below, especially if you're one of my students. Is this a week where you're not running a paid promotion, or like you're not running a sales-based marketing plan, you're running a relationship marketing-based plan? This is October going into November. Under normal circumstances, no matter what your business model, now is the time to sell, and people are buying for themselves, and increasingly as we get towards the end of the year or holidays for the ones that they love. And of course, with supply chain issues, a lot of people have been shopping a lot harder and a lot faster than even last year. And last year they were shopping like super early October. So my goodness, probably if I do hear from you guys, if you do choose to share, let me know in the comments down below. If this is like a sales-based marketing week with some relationship marketing-based stuff in there, there should always be, it shouldn't always be sell, 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 because when you're not big and you're smaller, you're new, or you're small to medium size as a business, you're creating a community. You're creating like a grassroots revolution to support you and your products and everything. So there does have to be, like, I do these weekly give backs. I don't charge for this, right? This is open on my YouTube channel. So let me just say hi to everybody else who's here. Miss Heidi's here. Hi, Steph and Jug. Bye, Heidi. What's up? And then hi, the Speckled Loon, Susie B. And hi, Music Chick Art, Miss Nora. Hi, Miss Amy Lindblade. Oh, and did I skip her? I didn't mean to. Hi, Miss Lisa Garrett. What's going on? Yes, #live, #replay. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Silver Fox, I did not mean to snub you. What's going on, girl? Good to see you. Okay. So again, share with me any questions you have about content marketing down below while I get into my riff in the meantime. And also, if you're a student of mine and you want to share, is this a big week that you're having a sales promotion? What is it? How are you doing it? Is it a coupon? Is it a site-wide sale? Like what? If you're not selling, like, yes, theoretically, we should be open for business every single day, right? If you don't treat your business like a business, it's less likely to pay you like a business. If you treat your business like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby if it even pays you at all. Like, I say that a lot. So Heidi did say something. So before I get into my riff about how to work as an entrepreneur and plan out your content, as a chronically ill entrepreneur? Or are you, God forbid, struggling with disease? Are you struggling with physical challenges and stuff like that? What do you do when you're an adult and we're only going to get older and degenerate more? Like, what do you do to plan out your content marketing so you can keep your business going, especially if you're a solopreneur, or maybe you get a little bit of help at home or something like that, or maybe you have an independent contractor or two, but things are still largely on your shoulders. You're not one of my intermediate to advanced students who are starting to grow a team and delegating out harder and faster, to advanced, where there's no limit to how far you go. I do have students who are literally 7-figure successes. I now count 2 in there. And then I have a bunch of them that are 6 figures to multiple 6 figures. And then I have people going into the 5-figure to multiple 5-figure range. But it's hard to get there by yourself. So at some point when you're intermediate, you do have to start reinvesting into your business to the point where it might kind of hurt. Like, I'm taking so much of my post-tax profit, and now I'm paying for, independent contractors. I'm paying for part-time or full-time employees, but you can't, it's very difficult to scale to an advanced business. And then once you're in the advanced business where you're running a major sales promotion basically every single week, averaged out all year long, not just October, November, December, all year long, it's hard to pull all that off and to do the content marketing and to keep up with this customer service and to do the lives at least once a week and all the things. It's hard to do all the things by yourself, or with maybe a video editor, and you're done. So Stuff and Junk by Heidi, working on my relationship marketing this week. Good girl. Thanking all of my Halloween customers for their support. That's awesome to do. And sharing some of the custom orders I made this season. I think that's always good, because even after cart closes for a coach or a course creator, somebody selling coaching packages, or somebody putting a service package on sale, or anybody who's doing a product drop, whether it's a physical product drop or a product line collection launch, and then cart close on the product drop, digital, physical products, and or a product line collection retirement, right? Like, say you're Renee Christine, student, right? So, it's very important even afterwards to be very thankful to all the people who did invest in your collections, your drops, who bought your course and stuff like that. Sure, of course it is, because that's just goodwill with the people who have bought, because getting that first sale is always the hardest, then getting multiple sales after that. Like, if you can get more than one sale out of somebody, they usually, statistically speaking, will become a very regular client of yours. The more regular they are a client or customer of yours, or a student of yours, if you're a coach or a course creator, the more likely it is over time that they're not only going to be a repeat buyer from you, they're going to be a zealous brand advocate, meaning you would think they're getting affiliate income because they're driving people to you to make purchases from you. Or the next time they get into your boot camp, let's say, you've got to come with, you've just got to experience this. Or the next time, they're selling something, like when Renee Christine sells something with Pristis, there's limited quantities of all of the products that she will sell, right? She's not selling phantom products. She gets these made up, and when they sell out, right? So it's you got to get it before it sells out. You got to get one with me. That does happen, but it takes a lot of energy to make the big wheel turn in order to keep your business going with relationship marketing on the perpetual. And then if you're a beginner to business marketing, or both, doing a minimum of 2 sales promotions a month, that takes effort. And then if you're intermediate, doing around 3 sales promotions a month, that takes even more effort. And by the time you're advanced, you'd better have a team with you by the time you're advanced, because you should average out a sales promotion every single week. How do you think you get to 6 figures, multiple 6 figures and more, right? I do have some students who are coaches and course creators, but I have a lot of products-based business people. You must be selling your products all the time, right? So that's what you have to do. Now, Amy Lynn Blade just asked a question, I think. She says, how do they do the voice modifications so that they sound like the same voice that we hear on several different TikTok videos, but it is their original script? I think that's okay, so you're talking TikTok. I think that's a sound effect that they have, right? That's one of those sound effects that they have on TikTok. So let me see. Can I drop an article to you really quickly? Voice modifications, TikTok. They're always doing different like filters or features or, all sorts of stuff. Oh, it's text to speech feature. I bet you. I bet you that's what they're doing. How to change text to speech voice. Okay, so this will tell you how to do it and how to, let me see if I can get the most recent version of this. So when you're on a Google search, there's like that tab that says tools, and then you can pick like your filter, and you can go from like all or anytime. I would do, when it comes to text, special effects, filters, features, and stickers and stuff like that, any sort of like app updates or anything like that, I would not just use all, I would use the filter and filter it to past month and see how you can do it. Let me see. So let me just grab that really, really quickly for you. And sometimes that's a little too close in time, but with tech, oftentimes it's not. So let me see. How to change text to speech voice on TikTok. So I can help you a little bit more with the click by click. Oop, I popped out my chat for a quick second. Hold on, I gotta now juggle my screen so I can get the big screen up and get that. So here's how. I think this is what you're referring to. It's the text to speech thing. So that's a good question. That's a really good question. Okay, so let's talk about, and keep putting your questions down there and stuff like that, and or let me know, did you update your website? Did you launch a website? Did you, create more content, on YouTube especially? Did you launch a YouTube channel? Like, what have you done? Because I do want to cheer you on. If you did have like a successful sales promotion over the last weekend, like for sure, let me know. How did that go? All right. So when you are an entrepreneur, you don't necessarily have to be an older one. A lot of times you are. I'm in my 50s. Me is dull, dull, dull. But let's quickly use me as an example. I'm in my 50s. I have been immunosuppressed thanks to Lyme's disease with my first hospitalization in 1992 for it. I've had several hospitalizations since. It's like every couple years without getting into the details. And minus that, I've been on like 3 medications for a couple of years now, plus all this extra stuff like supplements. Your doctors, even if they're more like Western medicine as opposed to Eastern medicine, you might get some doctors that at least prescribe you things like vitamin C, X amount, or D, or whatever. So I've had some vitamins, minerals, and supplements absolutely prescribed to me on top of that. And then additional homeopathic stuff that, of course, I run by my healthcare providers to make sure nothing's contraindicated. I'm no medical expert. So unless you are somehow, if you're going to do something and try to be your own best, medical advocate, say that's great, but you still need to like check your math, if you will, and run everything that you want to take, ingest, tinctures, tonics, whatever, and make sure, like, have a good annual physical. I definitely want to say that, with fasting blood and urine, to make sure have a good, blood work and urinalysis done, because you may have conditions you don't even know. Like that happened to me in 1992. You may have conditions that you don't even know about. And without doing that sort of diagnostic testing, and the older we get, the more we're scared of getting bad news. But still, we all have to be like, grown adults here and make sure that we are, taking care of ourselves, because we're not going to be able to do very much in business if we let ourselves go physically, of course. So I have been struggling with chronic illness since 1992. And I have a tendency of getting sick before I got on my most current cocktail of like medications and supplementations and homeopathy and all that. Again, checked out by all of my different team of healthcare providers to make sure they're cool with it. Until I hit this regular cocktail of stuff, I was getting sick every 2 to 3 weeks. It would last for 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'd be sick again after like a period of maybe 2 weeks of not being sick. It got to the point where my body was absolutely ravaged. So, I mean, I know people struggle with a bunch of different things. If you're on my email list, and thousands of you are, I gave you a really, really raw, real email that, yeah, I'm sick for like the millionth time. I'm not too bad today, but my face is aching from being sick so much. I couldn't even put makeup on. It's too raw. So like if you're struggling with chronic illness, if you have a disease, God forbid, I've had students through, oh my God, I've been coaching for 8 years. I have had students struggle with cancer, die from it, heartbreaking. I have a couple of students who have had more than one bout with it over the last 8 years of me coaching. One of them, I've only been coaching her for 2.5, going on 3 years, and she's already had it twice and is in remission now for the second time. Thank God. So, believe you me, it can always be worse than whatever I'm suffering from or whatever you guys are suffering from. It can almost always be worse. But the older you get, the harder it is. Things are degenerative. Like the older you get, the less spunk you might have. For women, without getting into it, there's always that pre, peri, post menopause thing too that can further put in wrinkles or complications. And it's like, so it can be very challenging, right? I just gave you like the quick download on my situation because I want you guys to know that those of you who are struggling physically for whatever the reason, like I'm there with you in the trenches. I really am. My period of wellness now is extended out a bit further. I could go like 5, 6 weeks without anything major, but it's hard and I can still get sick and it'll cost me several days to a week whenever it does it. So, what do you do as an entrepreneur? Because again, me is dull, dull, dull. So, like, I'll lay down the foundation. I'm in the trenches with you. Number one. Number two, I see you. I understand. I comprehend. Even if you're not struggling with disease or chronic illness, the older you get, the harder it can be, the more frail you could become. Like you're otherwise okay, but gosh, it's still the struggle and the struggle is real. So, like, my first piece of advice is you have to be very realistic about where you're coming from. And you do have to give yourself, and some of this but we have to touch upon it. You do have to give yourself the self care that you deserve. Okay. And you do likely have to delegate a whole lot more, um, than you already are. And even if you're alone, there are things that you could delegate one way or another to like tech or automation. Are you not doing that personally or professionally? Are you doing the longhand math, especially as an older person, where maybe you're being stubborn and you should automate payments, or maybe if it's fiscally responsible for you, get groceries delivered and stuff like that. Because I'm immunosuppressed, there are definitely things that I get delivered or I hit drive-throughs and stuff like that. And you might have to recalibrate budget to cover these things, but don't run yourself down and deplete yourself because obviously that's not helping. And if you're like, but if I'm juggling house, spouse, kid, worship, pets, plants, maybe I've got elder care. A couple of my students are juggling with elder care. I don't know where she is right now, but Bridget usually is dealing with elder care. She's been dealing with elder care for the last 2 years. I've been coaching her from Personal Space Creations. So she's got that on top of her own illnesses, on top of a brick and mortar business that she and her husband Darren have that's doing very, very well. Even during the pandemic last year, learning and implementing a lot of virtual marketing techniques, they were able to drive traffic to and through their brick and mortar and ship out or do curbside delivery or both. And then they launched also then like a separate parallel online only business. One's B2B and one's B2C, and they're both doing well. But they always have the struggle and juggling two elder parents and juggling all the things. And I know that if Bridget was here, usually she's here. I know that Bridget would say that as much as, it sounds like easy for you to say, you do have to delegate. You do have to automate what you can personally and professionally. Like Bridget is like a total acolyte of Later now, which I'm not going to drop an affiliate link, but that is one thing that I want you guys to consider using, or at least something like Later. It doesn't have to be Later. I used to use Hootsuite, and if you're an older entrepreneur who's been around for more than a minute, if you're using Hootsuite, the user interface just isn't the best. And I just was tired with it always not lining up properly with Instagram. There were always problems towards the end of my using it. So later is what I would recommend. I know that there's Planoly, but I still think that later has, at least in this current snapshot of time, a forever free plan. Now you can't do everything with it and you can't do a million posts with it for free. Obviously, it's kind of like the gateway drug to getting into a paid plan, but their forever free plan does like cover enough that if you're on a strap budget, free is for me sort of thing, you can still, even by yourself, YouTube has a bunch of step by step, click by click ways to use later, and you can use the free plan for later and leverage that as much as you can to put content in that you batch created when you're feeling spunky and you have extra time, right? Like, because I have to batch create, I batch record YouTube videos when I can, and then I just time lapse it out in a free version of Asana. You don't have to use a paid version of every software. Lots of software like Later, like Asana, have forever free plans, and Asana is like a planning tool. So, and Slack has free and paid versions. All I need is the free version of Slack. That's all what many of my beginner and intermediate students need. Um, and I will tell you that when you are communicating in Slack and delegating in Slack, and when you're using like planners, because that's one thing, fail to plan to fail normally. But if you know you're like me and you're struggling with chronic anything or disease or frailty, and you have good days and you have bad days, not only must you delegate, not only must you automate personally and professionally as much as possible, but you also need to like batch record. So when you're feeling good, that's not the time for reruns. That's not the time to go gossip with a toxic neighbor or some crap like that. It might be fun in the minute, and you might be like, I've earned the right to numb out, but like, I've earned the right to kind of check out. But the problem is, if you're like me, you know that the day is going to come this week or next week where you're going to feel frail, where you're going to have a downward spiral, where I'm going to get sick for the bajillionth time. So when I have that extra energy, if my son's playing over somebody else's house or my in laws can take him overnight, I will batch record like 2, 3, 4 videos at a time. I'll take the raw video and upload it to like G Drive, or Google Drive. You could upload it to Dropbox or something else. And then I'll share the link out to it in Asana for my independent contractor, Barney, to do editing. And he'll edit, his package is like 5 videos a week he'll do. So, like, if I can do 4 or 5 videos in a weekend, because say my son's hanging out over his grandparents' house or whatever, then I will plan it out ahead of time. Um, you know, and I will try to have at least a week's worth of content like in the can digitally or held digitally in escrow, so that this way, if I am sick and I can't create more, like at least I have a week's worth of stuff that even what I'm doing manually or what I can put through on say later, or there's Creator Studio. You could link up your Facebook business page with your Instagram business account, and you can see how it's free. You can see how to do the click by click on YouTube, right? You don't have to pay for anything to understand how to do it. And you can like plan and upload stuff and schedule it out through Creator Studio, through something like Later, through their forever free plan, right? And you can just batch create, assign out content for the next week ahead of time. And, if you're sick, if you're frail, if you're on chemotherapy, you need to go. My neighbor 2 doors down, she gets like IV therapy once a month. You know what? She's covered with whatever content she's got to create. And of course, as much as possible, whatever she's got to do around the house to kind of like make up for it. If you're not really being intentional about your marketing, in general, it can make things challenging. Babies are born, people die, our loved ones get sick, who, God forbid, has like a car accident or something. Like life happens, right? But the older you are, and or the more chronic illness you have, and or God forbid, the more disease you struggle with, you really do need to batch plan, batch create, batch record, batch upload, and schedule out at least a week's worth of stuff in advance. That's one way I cover my butt. Okay, so the Speckled Loon by CZB says prepping for a big in-person event this weekend, scheduling all emails and posts today. And doesn't it feel good just to know that either everything's done now and it's just having it all play out, Susie, and you're just like sitting back checking your messages and your emails and just rolling with it, right? Like, doesn't it feel like a whole big weight off your shoulders? There's always the benefit to that too. Everything that I just said, the benefit to that too. I see people are showing up now in even more numbers. So please, big thumbs up. That really helps me out more than you know. It'll help me out while I'm live because it'll push this out and ping it out to my subscribers while I'm live. I'm getting close to 1,500 subs. Yes, I am. So that's exciting too. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. So I do like that you're planning out ahead of time. Hey, Nicola, what's going on? Hey, Nicola Cousins, what's going on? Just happy to share. I suffer from frequent and severe headaches and migraines. There are days that I can't work or can't drive to work. I have an employee who picks and packs all the orders. Yes, I'm sorry that happens to you. And I forgot there's headaches and migraines too that many people suffer no matter how old or young they are, or any other conditions that they may or may not have going on. And so it's important, especially with the migraines and the light sensitivity and stuff. I used to know somebody who really had bad problems with that. She really, really did. So she would have to have things planned out in advance. She really would. Very, very hard for her. So she would even try to be 2 weeks out ahead. Now, and if she could, she would sometimes be 3 to 4 weeks out ahead. It couldn't always happen. She was a single mom with 2 kids and she did work and have a commute and stuff like that. But she did manage to plan things out. So she was more effective more often because, she'd have her base covered so she wouldn't forget anything. She wouldn't miss any deadlines or anything like that. What I would say is you can plan out and prep out as far out as you want, everybody. But if you're going to go more than, say, a week to 2 weeks, or even if you've got a week to 2 weeks in the can and it's rolling out and that's good, do try to at least put out, especially if you're feeling up to it and you have time, try to put out something serendipitous and fresh too that isn't just scheduled, right? So that you do have at least some organic sprinkling over the pre-prepped stuff that's loaded into the auto poster, auto scheduler, and then everything just deploys and is out. And I do still stay behind, even if you're sick a lot, like I am, that you do lives. I have no makeup on. I just did the skincare. My face is killing me from being sick for the last 2 days. And I have like zero energy. So I'm drinking coffee, which I try not normally to do. Okay. But I didn't want to stay in bed today. I said, I've got to get out and do my live. And I want to touch base with my community, my paid students, my free students, my YouTube subscribers. Right. So no makeup on. I wouldn't normally recommend doing this, but you do want to stay organically in touch with your audience, and lives at least once a week is a really good way to do it. Now, I do see more people have shown up. If you could just give me a big thumbs up because this will push it out to more of my subscribers, both during the live and during the replay. And I really appreciate it. You're helping them out more than you're helping me out. Nicola says, and I have tech set up so I can work from home, including printing invoices remotely. So her assistant, her employee gets all the orders through to pick. Batching stuff up front with later is a must have for me. Absolutely. And even if you're using another tool, guys, I don't care what you use. Work whatever you got as long as it works for you, right? Like, I'm not here to just be like an endless shill. I'm not even going to drop an affiliate link till later. But if you're like, I'm just learning this stuff, there's going to be a learning curve. You don't need to buy a course for it. YouTube's plenty for that. And it does have the forever free plan. So like I said, even if that's not enough for your needs, but you're still kind of watching your money right now, I get that. But at least leverage the forever free plan to the max for what you can do. Because it won't just cover Instagram. It can cover places like Pinterest too. For the paid versions, they do TikTok. They were in beta testing last year, and they have things that you can do with the paid versions for TikTok. Amy says, you're speaking my language. I was just really thinking I needed to take better care of myself. I'm nearing 59 and I'm struggling to keep up. And you know what? It's okay to like digitally hold hands here and touch reality, you can't be in denial of it because knowing is really half the battle. And yes, you should be good to yourself. If you're not, what's the point, right? And I know as we're older and there's more bills to pay and there's more responsibility and who's got kids and who's got grandkids and who's got pets and who has elder care, like it's hard, right? Gen Xers are taking on a lot. I'll tell you that much. Because, like I said, Bridget is a Gen Xer like me, and she's got two people in elder care. She and her husband are working, but like nobody's like a mighty man in terms of their, strength and their health. It's not perfect, but man, do they implement. And if she was here, she would definitely tell you like planning is like a partial salvation for her. So like, I'm thinking that you do have to take better care of yourself, Amy, and we all kind of need to have like a bit of a time audit. Like over the next week, what I would just have you do is like whether you want to do it just strictly electronically or you like a pad and a pen for this sort of thing, I would just be really paying attention whether you're feeling bad or not, because you're going to have, especially if chronic illness, disease, older, whatever, you're going to have your good weeks and your bad weeks anyway. So during a good week, what do you tend to do or not do? And then during a bad week, what do you tend to do or not do? I had to do that because I'm like, I know that there has to be a way that even when I'm totally sick, I can keep my business moving. Maybe not as great as I would normally like to have it, but as I often say, and many of my students know this who are on the live, perfect's the enemy of done. You just don't want bless this mess. So, what if you're not leveraging free, freemium, or paid, like a content auto post or auto scheduling system? That is one thing I kind of want you to put on your to-do list. And again, YouTube is usually your click by click guide for this. So nobody has to have like a paid course or anything. And if free or freemium fits your bill, or you can do the little bit extra that you need to have done beyond the free or freemium, then right now that's enough. But I want you to take a time audit of a good week and then a crappy health week for you and see where you spend your time and just be honest about it. This isn't for you to beat yourself up or to find yourself doing something wrong. Hey, especially during the weeks that are crappy weeks for you, you might be doing everything or almost everything right, and you should be giving yourself a pat on the back for that too, right? But during your good weeks, what do you do? Where do you drop off? Because now you're feeling better, but now maybe it's time for horseplay, right? Or maybe it's like, okay, I have some extra energy and some extra time. So what am I going to do? Am I going to go down a social media rabbit hole? Am I going to stream some sort of reruns that I like from current shows or from decades ago? Am I going to like catch up with a chatty friend? Or am I going to sit there and say to myself, if this is something I need to do, if I'm not saying this is everybody, I keep putting off an auto poster, auto scheduling solution. I keep putting off joining my Facebook business page with my Instagram business account to at least leverage Creator Studio, and then spend some time on YouTube just seeing all the different things that I can do with the most current version of Creator Studio. P.S. It's still the best way, the Creator Studio that I can think of, to upload. They used to be IGTV videos, but now they're Instagram TV videos. That is the easiest, less glitch-free way of doing it. And it's the best way to optimize those longer form videos, because now you can go up to 60 minutes, right? With your Instagram TV videos. And then reels are separate, but they're a short form content piece of videos. So that's like up to a minute right now. Oops, let's see. Amy said, Heidi said, no pressure, but I'm so looking forward to Planathon. I was paying for later, but I switched over to the Facebook Creator Studio, and I've been way more productive there. And you know what? Different strokes for different folks and different plans for different people. So, but you don't know until you experiment both ways, right? So what I'm saying is, especially if you're older and you don't like tech, or you're like, I've learned so much and I've taken and implemented so many courses, shouldn't I have a break? And it's like, in theory, yes, you do want to be good to yourself, but being good to yourself is also taking away the stress that what if this is a bad week? What if I'm like Nicola and this is the week that I have, my migraines and my headaches, and it's just a heavy duty week for that? Yes, she has an employee. Yes, she's automated a bunch of stuff, but it probably took her some time and learning curve to figure out what she needed and figure out, like Heidi just did recently, what mode or method or piece of software did she like? What app was the best solution for her? And then to double down and to spend some time learning about that piece of software or app or whatever, and then learning about it enough to train somebody else or delegate it to maybe a loved one, maybe depending upon who's watching this live or on the replay, who can help you free, who can help you paid, right? And so, but that's time that you do have to invest. And I know when you're struggling with chronic illness, disease, age, frailty, burnout at any age, it's really hard. But if you don't start learning how to, it's the 5 rings of content marketing, right? It's planning, it's creating, it's optimizing, it's proper publication, and then proper, what do I normally say for it? Because I'm on fumes myself today because I'm sick for the bajillion time. It's proper syndication. I like to call it syndication or multiplication, right? So how do you take a piece of content that you just published and then make it work for you long after that individual piece of content is published, right? Sometimes content multiplication, just so you know, like I will use a teleprompter app for most every YouTube video that I do, right? Because you guys know I am chatty and loquacious AF, and I'm nobody's bullet journal, especially when I'm live. I'm just not that kind of coach normally when I'm unplugged. And that's okay. Some people like it, at least some of the time, but they can't wait to get to my courses because there it's a little bit tighter, right? And my YouTube videos, I try not to make them too much longer than 10 to 15 minutes long, right? So how long should a YouTube video be? Really only as long as it needs to be to make your point. Maybe you give an example to put some meat on the bones of what you're talking about, and then you wrap it up, right? Shouldn't be longer, ideally. So if that's 5 minutes, cool on YouTube. If it's 10 to 15 minutes, cool. It just depends. But I do use a teleprompter app. So there is a script that I will read off of with my teleprompter app. So this is an example of multiplication. I could take a YouTube video where I have my teleprompter app script. I will upload that script. I will delete the auto captions because they're always wrong. I think on average they're only about 70% right. And then paradoxically, if what you say doesn't really match what's on the captions, whether YouTube provided them or you delete, like I do, the captions, and then you upload your own. So that transcript already saves me a lot of time, right? So, and that's pretty much 100% of what I'm saying, right? That's going to match what I say on the screen. If that doesn't happen, Google and YouTube can both penalize you because, of course, YouTube videos show up in Google search, right? So, and you're like, that's not fair because like Google and YouTube are owned by the same parent company, Alphabet. Why should either one of those penalize me? After all, YouTube gave me the auto-generated captions. Yeah, well, they have to do that because they have so many deaf, hearing impaired people and people who are at work, school with sleeping babies or sleeping elders who need to have the captions and have little to no sound on. There's just too many of them for them not to at least provide captions, but it's still your responsibility as the creator to go in and clean those up. So YouTube's going to provide them because they need to have them, but they will penalize you if you don't clean them up. You can go in and edit them, but I just like to, because I use a teleprompter app with a script, I'll just delete the auto captions, upload the script. It'll set the timings, and in a matter of minutes, it's fixed, right? So then what do I do? So that's just one piece of content, though, is that YouTube video. But now I will take that script and I can put it on my website and publish it as a blog, right? Now, keep in mind, if you're going to duplicate this, because some people watching this on the replay, because I don't see a lot of my like advanced people here right now, but they're probably way busy because this is their time of year, a lot of them. And then the coaches and course creators, like January is insane for them. January, February can be really big for them. But I will say that you don't just want to take the script that you just used as your YouTube captions. You don't just want to take that and just plug it into a WordPress, blog post and you're good, because Google hates duplicate content and Google will scan through and see the closed captions like I indicated earlier and say, this is an exact copy and paste duplicate of this blog, and I don't like that. So one or both of those pieces of content will now suffer. So what I will do then is I will make sure that there's some sort of additional tip, trick, technique, source, or something, and I will add a little bit of extra in there to distinguish the two pieces from one another, right? And then I might just go through the blog post at that point and maybe like tighten up the language, because maybe you want to sound chatty and conversational more so on a YouTube video. I know I do. But then when you're reading it, it might be a different experience. So that I might write more like a paper. So between changing the overlay and putting in like a little bit of extra, now I've sufficiently differentiated the two pieces of content. But now I've also multiplied the two pieces of content with really very little effort when you come to think about it. You've got the YouTube video, you've got the corresponding post. And now if you're smart, you're going to take the embed code from the YouTube video and embed the video in your blog post. Google actually will give you some bonus reach when you do that, which is really, really cool. So that's one example of content multiplication. Now, depending upon what I say in a YouTube video, maybe I do pull out the MP3 or just the sound only from the MP4, which is the video and the sound together, right? And maybe I just create a podcast with very little editing and tweaking from what was originally the YouTube video that then became the blog post, that then became the podcast. And maybe I take a quote or a statistic or something like that I said in the YouTube video, because if for whatever reason I'm trying to get a point I'm trying to get across, and I'm sure that's going to be in the blog post, but maybe I take that quote or that statistic or whatever, and I turn it into like a graphic and I create a social media post with it. Now, one piece of content suddenly becomes 2, 3 more things, right? So when you plan out your content with very little extra, either on the part of you or an employee or an independent contractor, you can multiply a piece of content and cover more bases more often. And the more you're struggling with chronic illness, the more you're, God forbid, struggling with disease or permanent physical challenges, the older and more decrepit we all get, the more you need to batch plan, batch create, batch optimize, batch schedule out in public, auto posters, like whether it's Creator Studio or whether it's later Planoly or something like that. And yes, you can really cover more bases more often if you also think about batch multiplying and or syndicating content. Syndication, the way I look at it here, is you're taking a piece of content, you're putting it across several platforms at the same time. So when you're multiplying a piece of content, yes, you're also syndicating it. Does that make sense? If you guys have any questions about that, I mean, even if you're young and you have energy to spare, and God bless you, you're lucky if you have a head cold once a year, what I just talked about for the 5 rings of content marketing, I still stand behind. And yes, Planathon is definitely coming. I have to get through Funnel Dynasty first. So we're a couple days away from Cart Open on Funnel Dynasty really quick. That is my one big course for the year. That is one deep dive course for the year. Some of what I'm discussing is part of module 1, because that's like a very foundational concept module. It's 7 modules in all. It will come with weekly one-on-group coaching, where we will definitely take a different person and spotlight their business and their content marketing plan and look at the good, the bad, and if applicable, ugly. And we will be able to make tweaks. So I don't do one-on-one coaching anymore, but I do one-on group. And that's going to be tied to Funnel Dynasty on Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, in a Facebook group. Of course, it's your group to post, following the group rules. Otherwise, post. It's not all Stacey radio all the time. But yes, that's going to be like more in-depth and fine-grained kind of coaching. I'm only going to offer the course once at $9.97, because I'm going to be building it with you guys. Like every week, you're going to get 1 to 2 modules until we're up to all 7 modules by Black Friday through Cyber Monday weekend. Lifetime access to the course for the lifetime of the existence of the course. And yes, you will have the weekly coaching one-on group and the Facebook group for paid students only. It will only be at $9.97 once. It will go to $19.97 after that. I actually have a multiple seven-figure influencer who wants to pair with me and sell it to her email list. And she was like, I ain't doing it at $9.97. It said it's not supposed to be $9.97. They're only getting the one-time offer because it's a beta launch and I'm building the course with them. It's not done. It's not going to be complete when cart closes, right? So she's like, oh, that makes sense. So it's $19.97 after that. I'm like, yes. So, and that's how it's going to be. And I'll have it at $19.97 for a year. And then the plan really is to take it to $5,000. The value of the weekly coaching with me, especially when I'm one-on group like that, and I'm like highlighting stuff and helping you troubleshoot your marketing so that you actually do get conversions out of it, there's a big value to that. So Amy is saying, and wisely so, later is moving to the top of my to-do list. I have to plan better instead of always playing out fires. And you know what, Amy? Like, I can still be like that too. If I'm sick long enough, I'll run out of 1 to 2 weeks worth of stuff in the can, and then I'm in trouble, right? And so I'm still putting out fires, and I'm an advanced business owner. It happens to us all. I don't want Amy, or I'm not even saying Amy's necessarily doing this, but I don't want anyone watching this live or on the replay to beat up on yourself because life happens. And the more you struggle with chronic illness, the more you struggle with disease, the more you struggle with physical challenges, and you're getting older too, it's going to get harder. You should know that. You should do your best to make peace with it. I love you, honey. Have a great day. And you should do what you need to do to lean into it. So yes, that does mean being better to yourself. Julie Mackenzie Brooks, who retired, but she was one of my OG students from the Renee Christine partner days back in August of 2019. And then she was with me until like a year later or so, and then she retired. Or I think she retired earlier this year. But Julie was like, one thing that she did, because she was older and she had health struggles and stuff like that, she had to really leverage and delegate with her husband a whole lot more. And the thing of it is, when you're conversational about it, and it's teamwork that makes the dream work, and you're not confrontational about it, you get more flies with honey, right? Her husband definitely leaned into things, and he helped her to open up space, time, bandwidth, and energy so she could actually run a business for the next year plus that she was with me. And then he convinced her to retire. But that's okay. We love Julie anyway. And I hope that they're doing well. Actually, we're still friends on Facebook. I know that she's doing well. Heidi says, my big 2022 goal is to go live and do videos consistently. I'm not at a weight I'm comfortable with, so I'm trying to give myself some grace, but I'm also making healthier eating and activities part of my self-care. So there's so many beautiful things about that on every single. Oh, hey, Laura, what's going on, Laura Ferrer? And she's like, watch Laura Sews. Hi, watch Laura Sews. What's going on? Good idea. I'm behind on the editing of the closed captions on my YouTube videos. Miss Laura, and I know you're just working it, girl. I love it. So there's so many things that Heidi said that was right. And let me be vulnerable and transparent. Most of my life, I was never a fat tween, a fat teen, a fat adult, fat 20s, 30s. Around 38, I gave birth to my son. And I ballooned up to 215 pounds. I'm 5'3". I have like a ring size of 7. Like my son at 10 had hands as big as mine. I don't have a broad back or childbearing hips. I can't carry weight. And I got to tell you the truth. When I first started to do YouTube videos, oh God, I don't even know if I should tell you guys about this YouTube channel. But I think I will, because I want Heidi to go take a look at the YouTube channel so she could see. I was like 215 pounds when I started doing my YouTube videos. And now I'm down to like 178. So I'm still, I still have a good, I want to be realistic, a good 40 pounds to lose. So look at me, Heidi, now, and I'm still doing it. And you're never going to feel comfortable about it till you've done lives like a bajillion times. I don't want to like be unrealistic. Most people are not extroverted like me. So it's not necessarily going to feel comfortable and just walk it off if you don't like doing lives. But as with anything else, you get better at doing the thing by doing the thing, and eventually you're going to get bored. With the tech behind lives, no matter what platform they're on, and YouTube again is a good place for click by click stuff. It's so easy, and after the first time or two you do it, you'll be like, okay, yeah, she's right. The tech is easy, but doing it is hard, and I know that. But go look at, oh God, help me. This is going to disappear because even though I clicked for it to keep the comments, it doesn't always do this. Look at woman. Oh God. Should I even do this? So Roberto Blake, who is a really big YouTuber, I think he's over 500,000 subs. He is the man behind the concept of 100 crappy videos. Do the first 100 videos. The first 100 videos, every video you do should be the best video that you can do. Okay, nobody's giving you the excuse to just do crap work for any of your content, much less your YouTube videos. You guys know that, but I'll just say it to cover my butt. But Roberto was like, you know, by the time you get to 100 videos, 100 lives, 100 of anything, you're always going to be able to look back and go, wow, I've learned so much and I'm so much better. I polished that piece of coal until it became a diamond. But if you don't do it and go through it, it's really hard to get better at it. You can practice stuff and research stuff and study stuff, and sure, it's going to help you a little, but until you actually pull the ripcord and jump and parachute, you're not going to really know how to get through that experience. And you need to do it a lot because sometimes tech can throw you a snafu. The more, you know, the better you feel about doing videos, doing lives, doing both, the better you'll be when something, you know, your live goes down or suddenly you don't get comments anymore, or they're frozen. Like things will throw you less, but you have to throw yourself into it to get better. So, holy wow, dig my first painful 100 videos. Were they crappy or what? I'll give you guys the link to my Woman 101 YouTube channel. Oh my crap. Oh my crap. The first video, I'm like swollen and round because I'm at like my heaviest when I did it, that first video. And I shot it vertical before we were doing vertical videos, folks. So, of course, I've got black bars to either side of my first two videos. Because after I put up the first video, I was such a doofus, I still did it wrong the second time. And 3 times is a charm, 3 strikes, you're out. I had lipstick on my teeth for that first video. Wow. It was so bad. So listen, you know, but I never would have gotten to the point. Like if you see my videos now, sure, I have a professional editor now. But he also knocks out an awful lot in the time that his package for me allows, right? Like he's like, you are very like, there's very little to do other than to like kind of like edit out any pauses and stuff like that, right? You know, I don't mess up almost ever doing my videos. Having a teleprompter app helps for me. If it's not for you, it's not for you. It's not for everybody. But like, here's another thing. When you're batch recording, I do like a teleprompter app a lot because, you know, I will go through my video and get it shot in 10 to 15 minutes, and I can do them back to back to back and knock them out instead of trying to do everything all live and rough hewn. And I'm talking and then I'm going down a side route or I go off on a tangent, or you guys know, I could have like a senior moment and be like, what was I talking about? Like, you know, there's too much to edit out. I think Barney would hop in a plane, fly over to America and shoot me in the face if I gave him like an hour's worth of chaff to get through to get to 10 to 15 minutes worth of wheat. But if you can do extemporaneous speaking like that and be like a bullet journal kind of person and you don't need a teleprompter app, please don't use it. You don't need it. And there's not a million of them and none of them are really that expensive. And they're so natively intuitive. Someone in her 50s who hates tech is telling you that. So if a teleprompter app will help, like Donna isn't here right now. I know she's insanely busy. She and her husband, she retired her husband 5 years early from the paid fire department because he had to help her. Her business blew up over the last 2 years. And they're still scaling. God bless them. But Donna will tell you using a teleprompter app really does help because she puts out content on her YouTube channel about 2 to 3 times a week, on top of being that busy. And having extra shots, extra stuff shot for YouTube really helps her, really helps anybody. Amy says, do you have any script writing tips that you use? That's a good question. Oh, and Heidi, I didn't mean to skip you. So when you batch record videos, do you change clothes and hair? I've seen some that really recommended it. I'm just wondering if people care. You know what? That's a really good question too. So let me take both of you at the same time. I'll start with Heidi's because hers is easier, and then I'll warm me up and I'll go to Amy's. Okay, so not skipping you, Amy. I think it's dealer's choice. I do. I love Daryl Eves for YouTube. He's so busy. He can't put out content on his channel usually, but he has so many silver and gold play buttons that he's earned on other channels that he's grown in the past. And for his clientele, because I don't know if you know this, when you get your silver play button or your gold or whatever else you get, the first one is on YouTube as a gift. You can place an order for team members for one or more duplicates of that. So Daryl has like 10 bajillion. I've trained under him before. He has like 10 bajillion different. He has so many golden play buttons. They're like all throughout his house. He's building a bigger house to showcase. Well, he has a big family, but also to showcase more of those play buttons in. Daryl, whenever he's online, he has the same black shirt on with the same logo all the time. That's his YouTube video work uniform. And I've seen women do this too. So, and that seems to work fine. He's so busy, he can't put up content on his channel every week. But he's on retainer with YouTube, with Google, with Amazon. Plus, he's dealing with all these, he worked with Mr. Beast for, I think, like 2 years straight. If you know who that is, because you've got kids or grandkids or whatever, or you may know, let me not presume, who Jimmy Donaldson or Mr. Beast is. He's a nice kid. I've been at things with him. But Daryl wears the same stuff every video. And he's a dude, but I've seen women do something similar. Me, if I know I'm going to batch record, I don't batch record all the time. Sometimes I am shooting a video a day before anyone gets up in the house. And I'm going to downshift into you next, Amy, because I do have some tips. But I will at least be shooting a video if I'm not sick and crappy every day. And then if somebody can take my son for the weekend or he's hanging out over his best friend's house for 2-3 hours, I'll batch record 2-3 or more videos in one shot. And yes, in my case, I tend to swap out tops. I don't change my hair. I don't do my makeup. I swap out tops. But if you guys have ever noticed, I tend to wear the same top from the Gap, the same V-neck top in like every color, because I don't have time. But I'll swap it out so that I seem fresh. But do I necessarily, if you're not in fashion or anything otherwise, do I necessarily think it's going to hurt you whether you change your top or you don't? I think it's dealer's choice. Now, in terms of the scripting, what I tend to do in a perfect world, if it's not a sick week and I can function, I will try to write out the script the night before that I'll feed into my teleprompter app. First thing in the morning, once I'm all ready to go, I'll get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. My son has to be up by 6:15. So I'll feed the pets. I'll get a protein shake and a bunch of water together, and I'll sit in front of the computer and I will read through the teleprompter app script that I drafted the night before, maybe even completed the night before. I'll finish it if it needs to be finished, but I will read it aloud to myself so that I know that it flows. And if I need to make any last minute tweaks, I do. And then it's fresh. And then I will email it to myself on my cell phone from my desktop. And then I will pull it up. I will share it into the teleprompter app. and then I'll put my phone on do not disturb, and then I jump in front of, I'm not going to move the whole thing, but I will jump in front of my light set and I'll shoot the one video a day minimum that I'll do. Um, and then again, if my son's over my in-laws house or his best friend's house or whatever, I could do over the weekend 2, 3, 4 in a sitting. Barney is actually 2 weeks ahead editing things for me. He really is. I know I have not been putting too many videos up on my YouTube channel right now. Part of that's Funnel Dynasty and getting all that set up in the background. I do not have plans for another big. I mean, I'll do Planathon before the end of the year, but like going into 2022, like Funnel Dynasty is a main focus of mine. And I will be updating my other deep dive courses like Socialgram Shortcut and Social Talk Shortcut. I'll do like updates to Social Pin Shortcut for Pinterest. But in terms of like big courses, like every business quarter, I'll be relaunching a big thing of mine. And that's going to be a lot of what I'm doing, because I have so many courses out there anyway. And yes, every so often I'll put mini courses on sale and stuff like that if you don't have them all. But like that's where I'm going, is I'm going to be building Funnel Dynasty into like a real dynasty. And I'm going to be using my own methods to do it. So it's going to be and you're going to see me actually start in Funnel Dynasty a brand new brand. And I'm going to show you, like, this is how I picked my customer avatar. And this is how I put it through the Stacey sales success formula. And this is what I do to flesh out content, to come up with this and come up with that. So it helps me with the 5 rings of content, how I plan it out, how I will batch record it, how I will very much so optimize it to be found in search and to help the algorithms in terms of suggested. Like on Instagram, suggested would be the explore page. On YouTube, you could go to somebody's homepage. You could literally be suggested in the sidebar. There's different versions of suggested on YouTube. Even the Facebook EdgeRank algorithm can suggest stuff out to you too. It's very behavioral based. TikTok, you're going to show up on the For You page, right? That's their version of suggested, right? Every platform has its own parlance. Same thing with Pinterest. You're going to have those pins come up in your search and your suggested too. So when I was thinking of wearing a YouTube uniform too. I think you could get away with it if you're not fashion based in terms of a brand or your content or whatever. I think you're fine. Keep it neutral. It doesn't have to be black, but keep it neutral and just, focus on the content and lots of B-roll. And I think you're good no matter what you're wearing. But in terms of scripts, like when I sleep on the script, so to speak, I sleep on it. And then I am, reading it fresh the next day. That's when I can make tweaks. I'm also simultaneously rehearsing, and then I jump in and it's fresh. And I can shoot lots of videos with one mistake or no mistakes when I follow that system. Another tip I would have is definitely the title of your video is very important and should be keyword rich and keyword based, like meant for search, especially in the beginning. YouTube eventually will have so much information on you if you stay persistent and consistent. It'll start doing a lot of hardcore matchmaking for you. Am I saying that optimization becomes less important on YouTube? Not necessarily, but what I will say, and if Donna was here, she would agree. And when you go into your analytics on YouTube through the YouTube Studio, formerly known as the Creator Studio, and you look at your analytics, you're getting good channel growth when suggested far outperforms your search results. Search is always important, but when you're growing properly on YouTube anyway, suggested will overtake it. So whatever you're doing keyword rich based in the title, which is one big part of search on YouTube, it's not the only part of it. I would repeat the title. I don't know. It is not a magic number for it, but at least 1, 2, 3 times over the course of your script, if you're going to be script based. Because it's everything is data points for the algorithm to surface. Facebook and YouTube have 2 of the oldest in terms of like platforms. Google's like a big granddaddy, and it's very complex and could be its own course in terms of understanding all of the nuances of ranking on Google, for sure, to be fair. Um, but YouTube is a very mature, very competitive platform. Facebook is a very mature, very competitive platform. You can rank on both. Those are long-term plays. Usually, you can hit a home run on YouTube even now. So Laura Ferreira says I switch my sweaters and jackets. And you know what? If that works for you and your audience, that's cool too. I do think it's dealer's choice. And I never change my hair or makeup when I batch record. Not ever. Amy Lynn Blade, thank you. She says those are great script ideas, especially sleeping on it. Let's go back to Heidi. Heidi, are you still here? Right, still here. If you were still here, I think you're still here. So I think I want to say that just in general, personally, let alone professionally, you know, giving yourself grace is important. We said that earlier. Healthier eating and healthier activities, of course, is important. The older we get, whether we're struggling with chronic illness, like you're immunosuppressed like me, disease, God forbid, physical challenges, getting older, degenerating, and frailty, obviously, the less meat we have on our bones, the easier it is on our body. And I don't want to get YouTube mad at me for talking too much about health and stuff, because you can get flagged. You can look at YouTube's terms of service for more information. But the heavier we are, the more inflammation we have, and that can just make it very uncomfortable for us, and it can just accelerate degeneration if we're not careful. So weight loss, just because people are skinny doesn't mean they're healthy either. I do want to say that, and I don't want to fat shame anybody, let alone myself. I'm still 178 pounds. I've been plateaued here for a while, and drinking Starbucks isn't going to help me, but it was either that or I'd have no energy to be in front of you guys today. So I'm kind of giving myself a jump start here. But everybody go look at my first video on the Woman 101 channel, and you can see my round moon face, and you could see the lipstick on my teeth, and you could see I have it in the portrait instead of the landscape perspective. Oh, I was riding the hot mess express. I was. Every video on that channel was edited by me. You could tell as I go along the editing to get better. I did use B-roll more and more often and stuff like that. But oy vey, if you want to say to yourself, what does 100 crappy videos look like? And you could see the progression as you get better, go look at that channel. I'm not saying subscribe to it, but go look at it. Heidi, if I waited, I wouldn't have gotten my business to where it is. And that was several years ago. That was definitely when I started that channel, before Renee, Christine, or anything like that. I was a coach for years before Renee. So honestly, go look. And I was getting business from that. I'm not going to tell you I was a six-figure business yet when I started Woman 101, but it did get me work. And then publishing on social, driving traffic from back then, I was kind of working Twitter, but Instagram and definitely Facebook. If you go look up Woman 101 on Facebook, I might still have around 2,400 people following that Facebook business page. So I would get business from the page and from the YouTube videos. And I did have a bit of an email list. Maybe I had about 100 people by the time I got on YouTube, probably around then. You don't need a huge email list. There's vanity metrics, and they don't matter if you can't get anybody or almost anybody to convert. That's why I'm telling people, like, on Instagram, Joe's Dairy Bar and Grill might not have 10,000 followers or more, but I have every right to sell Socialgram Shortcut because we average about $1,000 a week in sales from Instagram, and we don't have any paid presence on there ever. Ever. I've never run an ad there. Never, never, never. To this day, we still don't need to still get very good results from Instagram. And sure, we've grown, but I don't need the swipe up feature or now the link sticker. No one does. It's all a bunch of hooey. These are great strip ideas, especially sleeping on it. So here, okay, so Heidi, like I'm telling you, like, yes to all of your resolutions for next year. I think personally it's great for you. I think health-wise it's great for you. I think professionally it's great for you. But I would not hold back on doing videos and or lives, because honestly, more people are in your boat than not in your boat. Do you know what I mean? And no offense, I'm not saying I've never had a student who was a health coach or did taekwondo or had a taekwondo studio. That was one of them. Um, but most of my students are not in the health and wellness industry. We're not selling people be slim and healthy like us. You know what I mean? So I think more people are in the struggle or in the trenches with you. And I think today we are so like be positive body con and anti fat shaming and all that. I think now is a much easier time for you, even over a couple years ago, where maybe you and I were both younger. But today, people are more accepting of creators of all shapes and sizes. So, like, yes to everything you want to do. And I bet you, after even just a couple of weeks or months, if you stay persistent or consistent with it, Heidi or anybody else, you're going to have more of an upward spiral of success as opposed to a downward spiral of like failure, more inflammation, more pain, more struggle, right? So, like, don't hold off. I would double down and say, let me pull my 100 crappy videos from Roberto Blake. Let me get those behind me. Because if y'all see the trash that was masquerading as a YouTube channel for me from Woman 101 back in like what, 2014, 15, 16? Oh, please, please. If I could get better, if I could get business from that crap, so can you. So Heidi says, I'm working on starting lives for November and December, possibly videos, but definitely a few lives just to start warming people up. But the 2022 goal is consistency. And I like that. You're easing into the pool. I like it. It works. And Heidi says, I've gotten better responses on my posts that include my face and relationship marketing than just my graphics. It's just getting myself getting comfy. And I respect that. I totally do. All right. So let me see where we are. So it's over an hour. I am not feeling the best. As I continue to drink, you guys just let me know. Are you in a good place? Do you have any questions? Do you want me to clarify on anything that I discussed over this session? Please give this video a big thumbs up. Yes, even on the replay. And yes, I will go out of my way. I'm not perfect, but I will look to see if you have any questions on the replay. I'll at least look back over the last day to see if anybody has any questions. And that being said, I know that I owe somebody from last week. Let me see. While I'm waiting for you guys to see if you're in a good place. I think there was one person that I missed a comment on from the other week. Hey, Vanessa. Unbound by Tiffany. She says, I missed the live again. I answered most of her questions. Oh, she said, okay, I'm wondering again how long reels can be. If IGTV is 60 minutes, is IGTV good for any kind of video or just like HGTV kind of stuff? So I'm going to write the response to her here. Reels currently are up to 1 minute. On TikTok, it's currently up to 3 minutes. Instagram TV, formerly known as IGTV, can be up to 60 minutes, but must be in vertical format. So I would start off by repurposing any older YouTube videos you may have done that are more evergreen in nature. Does that help? Okay, so usually I'm pretty good about getting back to people, but I knew there was somebody that I owed a response to, so I figured I would do her live. Let me pop out my chat again. I need to pop out that chat. You guys, I'm not kidding. Like anything that you have, especially with supply chain issues, I wouldn't think about clearance selling anything. I would just think about putting up things that even if you just have a couple of pieces, like in your Etsy shop or through your website or however you're selling, whatever platform you're doing, just a quick recommendation that you want to make sure that you are like putting anything that you might have normally put on clearance. I would just be like putting limited batch, limited quantities, and sell it at like a good, fair market, regular price right now. The price of all materials and ingredients and supplies and everything has gone up. So, paradoxically, something you might not have been able to get rid of over the last 2, 3 years, as you know, the supply chain issues may possibly worsen, at least in the United States. People are going to be desperate to get things that they want, to get things that they need, to get presents. So I would go through every closet, every drawer, and under every bed and be like, if even if I only have 2 to 5 pieces, they're limited batch, get it now, get your shopping done. These are in hand. I can ship them through the States, right? Like do that because people are getting very like much FOMO and like lack mentality. The news on either side of the aisle is just like, oh, supply chain issues. So, you know what? Don't do a clearance sale. Put these things back on sale and get rid of them. You know, free up all that space in your home and turn your stuff into cash. So Heidi says, with all the shipping crazies, I have a live sale around the end of November. So Hot Mess Express is coming soon. Ann McDonald. Hi, Ann. What's up? She says, I love this topic today. Sometimes I forget that I'm not the only one dealing with illness and running an online biz. Thank you for that. Me is dull, dull, dull. I only shared it in my email and here because, you know, there are too many people that are thinking, like, nobody's that simple that they think they're the only ones with this struggle. But, like, I want to be transparent about it. Sometimes I have to take sick days, even with the live one on group coachings. I don't do it a lot. A lot of you know that. But you know what? Like, if I sat there, I could be put on disability if I wanted to. I have at least 2 different treating physicians that are just like, we could work it up if you want to. We really could. Because, you know, it's been for decades that it's been like this and multiple hospitalizations. And it has been, I'm on 3 prescription medications plus other supplements that have been prescribed in tandem with it just to keep me from not being sick every 2 to 3 weeks all the time and very heavy duty. Full transparency, I've only been sick for 2 days, and this is pretty good for me. This would have been unthinkable in 2018, 19, and before that. That's really sad. I would just be horribly sick for 2 to 3 weeks and then be kind of well but weak for 2 to 3 weeks. And my body might be so ravaged from so much coughing and so much weakness that, full transparency, I might have needed adult diapers for 2 to 3 days. It's hard. It's not always easy. But I don't want any of you, just like myself, to count yourself out of the game. And yes, we're all going to get older and entropy and decay is going to try to do its worst. But just like Heidi, it's important to say, okay, I'm going to see where my weak spots are. I'm going to see where my trouble spots are. I'm going to get better at self care. And if weight loss is important, you need to do that. I'm going to have to double down. I want to set a good example for you guys, right? And at least, again, you can go ahead and look at some of those decrepit old videos of mine on that other channel. I'm not 215 pounds anymore. I'm around 178 pounds. So that's progress. But do you think maybe I'd be less inflamed, less swollen, and maybe I'm just guessing, getting sick and feeling, you know, sluggish? Do you think maybe that would happen to me less? Right? So think about like you guys where applicable live or on the replay. It's not about being skinny. And skinny isn't always healthy if you get there the wrong way. It certainly isn't. And, you know, if the struggle to say that skinny is going to make you like mentally and or emotionally unhinged, I don't know how, you know, it's not about looking good in jeans. It's just about being able to not only live longer, but have better quality of life so that you can do the things that you want to do personally and professionally. But I want you guys to do what I've had to learn how to do through the years is just say, you know what? I have to batch plan, batch record, otherwise batch create, I have to spend a couple $1,000s a month on my staff to get out what I have because I get sick just so much. I don't have the ability physically to do all the editing that I need to do. And I know that a lot of my advanced students and even some of my intermediate students, they have video editors now. They can't do 1, 2, 3 videos a week on top of everything else that they do. And they're running businesses that are just progressively getting busier, even in months where they'd have been dead. So, you do have to be good to yourself. You do have to be patient, but you do have to also say, when was the last time I went for an annual physical where I got blood work and urinalysis done? And I'm not going to hide from anything that I have or anything that I think I have or I'm afraid that I have, or maybe certain physical conditions have gotten worse. But let me know what it is. Let me know what I need to do. If I've not been so great about taking supplements and or medication, I have to get better. And let me do my time audit during a week that I'm well and a time audit during a week that I'm not well, and see where maybe I need to rein things in more and where maybe I need to cut the fat and or delegate more for a well week and a sick week. And what's toxic that even if I don't have illness and I'm normally healthy as a horse needs to go, because maybe I'm keeping myself hamstrung with the devil that I know so that I don't have to face the devil that I don't know. Chris, oh goodness, I don't want to out her. I will just say that one of my students, she really wanted to blow up her business. She started to blow up her business and then she started to self-sabotage. And then she just wasn't taking care of herself on top of it. Like, she was self-sabotaging just emotionally, and then she didn't take care of her health, and then that degraded. And I'm just like, I don't want to say her name or slip. I don't want to embarrass her. But I was like, you need to really stay on top of your meds. You need to go for your physical. You need to know, do you need to change your medicines and make them stronger? Do you need more supplementation? Your husband, I know he works, but then he comes home and he watches a lot of TV and you're pushing out so many more orders. Can he help you get things to the post office when he's running to work? Can he help you package stuff? Can he help you? Can he do the occasional return for you? Why do you have to process the return? Anybody could process the occasional return or damaged and defective. Can he just handle those? There's a stray. You're really good at your business. What can you do to just get anything off you so that you do get the sleep that you need? You are getting the health care that you need. You're keeping up with any of your supplementation, any of your medications, or both. And then you are spending the time, I know, to learn how to use Creator Studio and or later so that you can actually batch plan, batch create, batch upload and optimize, and batch publish, or at least publish and time lapse out, right? And then, what kind of plan do you have? Like, Planathon is really good. We'll be doing that. That'll be up for sale in the beginning of December. It won't be a live event. It'll be a pre-recorded event, but it'll be evergreen. You get it once, you're done. But it will show you how to multiply your content. So especially if you have a crappy week and you're laying low, you're creating little to nothing, you can kind of say, ooh, I can pull this stuff out of escrow and I can publish it and cover my base more. Because the platforms are all going to continue to get more mature. They are going to continue to get more competitive. And we're all going to get older and degenerate and degrade. So we have to say to ourselves, we're not dead yet, man. We want to make sure that we're taking good care of ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and spiritually where applicable. Right? I could be, you could be a Christian, Muslim, Jew. You could be a Wiccan pagan, right? This is from Donna. But I'm a Christian and that's all good. I love everybody. I'm a Libra, so I love everybody. But, I want you guys to be patient with yourselves when you do get sick, and to take my advice and really Nicola Cousins' advice too. She's had to reinvest back into her business. She's been scaling and growing, right? So But I want you guys to not only have some New Year's resolutions about your physical, mental, emotional, financial, and spiritual health where applicable, right? I want you guys also to say, am I being realistic about my physical conditions? Am I really facing what I need to face? Am I really getting the diagnostic testing to really triangulate what I need, what needs to be tweaked, what needs to be upgraded? Am I really delegating all that I can personally and or professionally? And am I really taking the content marketing seriously, right? Because here's another thing. And even sometimes I have to talk myself down off this ledge because I'll be like, man, I'm so sick. And then if I run out of what I have digitally in escrow, now I have to like do the hurry up offense to cover the week that I'm in and then to create extra to cover for the next time I get sick. It's not if I'm going to get sick again, it's the next time I get sick, right? So, yeah, it's a pain. But I have to ask myself, how badly do I want my business? If you read my email, not everybody's on my email list, but if you read my email for those that are, I was pretty vulnerable. I was pretty transparent. Sometimes I feel like I'm just lying in a pile of ashes. But like a phoenix, I have to like double down, push through all the pressure, the noise, the fear, the loathing, the sadness, the challenge, all the flames of that, and like be a phoenix and rise out of the ashes and use the fire to fuel my success. And it sounds all like airy fairy, but it's not, because my other choice is what? And your other choice is what? Are you going to lie in the fetal position in a pile of ashes and suck your thumb? Because, well, I'm just getting older and my condition's getting worse. And I remember a couple years ago, I didn't need any medication, and now I'm on 3, and now I have my supplements. And I don't know, Stacey talks about all this stuff, and I just can't do it. You can or you won't, because I'm telling you, I'm here with no makeup on, and I don't feel the best. But I'm still showing up because I think about all the lives that I've touched and all the different people's lives and businesses that have improved. I mean, they had to do the work. There's only so much that I can do as a coach and as a course creator. But when they do the work and I'm cheering them on, I'm not just making their world better. I'm making the world of all their clientele and their customers better. And you just think about the potential ripple effect that you can have with your business. And I'm telling you, it might not make the pain go away. I'm telling you, it doesn't necessarily make the fat burn off faster. I'd be thin as a rail at this point. Um, it doesn't necessarily make dealing with the disease, the physical challenge, the chronic illness easier, but it does allow you to deal and kind of double down and push yourself off the starting block of the day and like actually do the work that you need to do to continue to have your business, and so that you could have the positive ripple effect on your own self, on anybody who's living with you, anybody whose lives you touch anyway personally, and then professionally. All the clientele whose lives you can make better, because entrepreneurs are paid to solve problems, to help people solve problems or satisfy desires. You're still alive for a reason. There's still something that you're meant to give the world, as whatever kind of entrepreneur with whatever kind of business model you have. Don't deprive the world of your gifts. And there are days that I'm crying as I'm writing out the next script because I'm tired and I'm frustrated and I'm mad. Why can't I stop feeling so sick all the time? But then I think about you guys and I think about all my other students that I've already had and all the other students that I'm going to meet someday. And I think, if I need to cry, I'll cry. But I'm going to get the work done anyway because it's better than just laying down and dying. Don't you think? All right. You guys in a good place? Because we'll wrap up if you are. Much love to all of you this week. and always. Now my comments often disappear, but I'll read it out. All right, going once, going twice. Happy Wednesday to you guys. This is definitely the time of year to sell, so get out all your clearance stuff that didn't sell, even if you're sick and weak and you're like, I can't create anything new. List the stuff that you need to get rid of. Now is the time to shake your moneymaker anyway. With the supply chain issues, your stuff's going to find a good home. I promise. I can all but promise you. I will talk to you guys later.